Top 10 fragrances for fall 2018 niche list coming up right now, guys. But first I want to thank you all returning subscribers for checking out my videos. If you're new to the channel though, please consider subscribing so you will be up to date with latest videos. Guys, for fall 2018 I have recently done a designer list. In this list, we will consider all of the fragrances on the niche spectrum that are worth checking out for the, slightly colder, milder temperatures that we will receive shortly. Some of you already have those in Belgium right now. We have still quite exceptional temperatures. It's even out around 21, 22 degrees this week. But outside of the sun, it's starting to chill really, and you can feel like, days are shortening, less sun. If there's some sort of wind, it's chilly. For this list, I'm thinking about fragrances that are fruity, sweet, sensual, to the uplifting side of my collection. Fragrances that make me feel warm and happy. So here we go with the first one that I really think is great for fall, by the house of Bond number 9, and this is called Andy Warhol. Some people call this the face. This supposedly discontinued. I don't know if it's completely unfindable. Some places of the world might be still around. This fragrance is one of the best plum, vanilla, agarwood, type of fragrances that I have smelled. Plum Japonais by Tom Ford is also really great. But this has that agarwood mixed in, which is a really difficult note to contain, mostly overpowering all of the compositions. But in the face, or Andy Warhol, this agarwood is really contained. The fruity and gourmand side of the composition really still takes the upper hand, and that's something that is really nice to have because it makes it more wearable. It makes it less, aggressive, and therefore really sensual and worth checking out for fall. Moving on to the second fragrance in this list by the house of Slumberhouse. This one is called Kiste. Now, Kiste is a real interesting fragrance because when I first smelled this one without knowing what was supposedly used in the notes, I thought about tea, like regular Earl Grey tea, but I realized very quickly that it couldn't be a lot of spices, as the fragrance has a fruity side to it. And when I read the notes, I was like, okay, so this is how peach is supposed to smell in a fragrance. It's really authentic. So this is peach, it's tobacco, it's honey. It has awesome performance, so don't really spray too much because you will choke out yourself as well as others around you. But a great choice for fall. Next one we have is by the house of Édition de Parfum Frederic Malle, and this is by one of my favorite perfume noses of all time. This guy is truly, one of the very, very best. His name is Dominique Ropillon, and this one is called Portrait of a Lady. This bottle is the newer formulation, the latest one actually. How you can tell is by looking at the cap. This one has the Édition de Parfum initials in white, and the original formulation has a black cap which doesn't have any white labeling like so. This is an older style of Frederic Malle bottle. Guys, Frederic Malle has some exceptional fragrances. Portrait of a Lady is one of those. In my opinion, the most complex patchouli rose type of fragrance out there. I mean, those two notes really, overtake the composition and are the most prominent. But there's a lot more to it, a lot other notes, even like slightly gourmand elements in the background of this composition. I decided to include it in this list because this fragrance has a sensual, comforting side to it. Really powerful. These fragrances are like between 40 and 50% essential oil concentrations, so they're even more powerful than a regular extrait de parfum. Portrait of a Lady, check it out. Next one on the list is by the house of Nasomatto. The perfumer behind Nasomatto is Alessandro Gottieri. He's a particular man who has quite exceptional creations. This is one of the latest ones by Nasomatto. It's called Baraonda. Has beautiful cork style cap that is really light. It's authentic. It's made out of actual cork, and this fragrance always brings a smile to my face whenever I smell this. Actually, when I first smelled this, I was like, wow, I need to have this. This is like so enjoying to smell, so pleasant to the nose. There's nothing aggressive about this. This fragrance evolves around the notes of Ambre, which is a sort of musk, and whiskey. Now, it's not really that, you know, whiskey-ish as actual liquor. It's more like the scent of the casket where the whiskey was bottled in. If you could extract that slightly boozy but also woodiness of the casket and combine it with that ambrette, this is probably the closest that you could, you know, replicate this fragrance. There's a lot of supporting elements to it probably, but that's the best way to describe it in a couple of seconds. Really strong performance as well. So but you know, it's 30 ml extrait de parfum, so you don't expect anything else. Next one is by the house of Le Labo. Mostly they're quite simple in the note breakdown, at least to me. I can also, you know, with this one they completely changed their game. For me, this is probably the most complex out of the collection. It's called Thé Noir 29, and the Thé Noir is just like Kiste, a fragrance that made me think about tea, but where Kiste actually goes into the fruity side of the composition due to that peach note. Thé Noir 29 has tobacco, it has black rose and black pepper. Although the rose is kind of to the background, therefore the spiciness really makes you think a lot more about tea than with Kiste, but still, fragrance is exceptionally well made. It's a great performer again, and it's worth checking out if you haven't. Next fragrance is by one of my favorite houses in the game. This is by Kilian, and this one is called Straight to Heaven White Crystal. One of the original releases of Kilian that gave the brand its star-alike status. Whenever I smell this, I feel really, you know, almost like James Bond. I mean, if I'm thinking about a night at the casino or at a high-end restaurant on a date, wearing a nice suit, this is a fragrance that would, you know, match that situation perfectly. So Straight to Heaven is a cedarwood fragrance with some patchouli and rum. Now the rum itself is not overpowering. To me, the booziness is less potent as in Baraonda. I mean, Baraonda for me is more of a date type, evening type of scent, whereas Straight to Heaven I would still wear throughout the day. I would even still dare to wear it in an office type of environment. It's truly great performer as well. Don't be scared. I mean, a lot of people complain about it, but I think it's probably because it's just too strong that your nose is not able to pick it up anymore. Couple of sprays and you're good to go. Next one, another house that I adore, Guerlain. This one is called Songe d'un bois d'été. Beautiful bottle, this one. A fragrance that wasn't a real hit to me. I needed to sample it a couple of times, but the last time I tried it out was actually not in fall but in winter. So I almost decided to hold on and put this in my winter list, which will, you know, come out later this year. But like I said, I sampled it in a cold weather in Paris in a flagship store on the Champs-Élysées, and it made me smile. I went outside, the wind was blowing, I got the most incredible smoky, woody, incensey, saffron, woody fragrance. It's truly a complex composition. Songe d'un bois d'été. Bois is wood in French. So this revolves around that note of agar wood. The other notes took off the edges of the agar wood. Not so much as in, for instance, Andy Warhol, because that one is going towards the gourmand side. This still has a lot of spiciness and crisp and fresh elements to it. So therefore, I put it in the fall list. Again, check it out if you haven't heard from it. Songe d'un bois d'été. And the next one I want to show you is by the different company. This is called Adjatay Cuir Narcotique. So you can see there's a lot of notes mentioned on the bottle in the front. Cuir narcotique means a narcotic leather, and that's actually quite a good representation of your initial impression with this fragrance, like Thé Noir 29. I mean, just wafting the cap like this, I get so much out of this juice already. It's extremely powerful. This is a fragrance from my wife that she wears a lot. I love it. It's just that good. It smells a little bit like Cuir Canage from the Dior Privée collection. The Cuir Canage goes in another direction. This still has a lot of florals in it actually, and it's a combination of those notes that make you think about a suede-like type of leather, high quality leather. This has heliotrope, tuberose, ylang ylang, but it also has even a animalic side in the background. Yeah, it's addictive. This fragrance is just addictive, and it's not extremely expensive, and you get 100 ml. Worth checking out if you haven't heard from it. Next one is a fragrance that has been around a while by the house of Chanel. This is called Coromandel. Coromandel is a fragrance that I would put in a spring list just like that, because again, just like Songe, it has still some transparency to it. It feels like you could rock this in moderate to moderate high temperatures easily. It evolves around the note of patchouli, which is a earthy, dry note that, you know, people think about the 60s and the 70s, think about like those, you know, potpourri type of fragrance scents, and this is something, you know, different in the sense that they included a gourmand note. They gave it a impression of white chocolate. It's extremely well done, and it's still, you know, still one that puts a smile on my face. A great performer, great choice for the upcoming fall season. And last but not least, guys, this one is by Dior. It's not Cuir Canage because I think, yeah, Adjatay is the better alternative to Cuir Canage. Has a lot more to offer for less money. It's not Fève Délicieuse, which you will probably see pop up in a lot of guys' YouTubers' fall list or winter list. I think Fève Délicieuse could easily be crowned the king of sensual, moderate temperatures list. However, in my collection between Ambre Nuit and Fève Délicieuse, I would choose Ambre Nuit for fall, and maybe you could expect Fève in the winter list, because to me Ambre Nuit is a little bit less cloying. I mean, Fève isn't cloying all that much. It's not overpowering by any means, but still it's more dense than Ambre Nuit, because in here we have notes like pepper, dry amber, and a light and floral type of a rose. Obviously rose is a floral, but like I said, this feels a little bit more transparent. Therefore, I would pick this one over the other for fall. Check it out if you haven't heard from it. Guys, If you enjoyed this list, don't forget to give it a little thumbs up. Let me know what you like to wear for fall 2018, and stay tuned for the next video. Take care. Bye.